Hi everyone. So I have a new product for you to take part in. This one is called Zelda merch. Zelda, like the video game. So there's a little bit about Zelda merch. So they are the first store that is dedicated to the Legend of Zelda merch, and it stands out. At Zelda Merchandise, they specialize in delivering one-of-a-kind, high-quality Legend of Zelda merchandise that you won't find anywhere else. So whether you're a devoted fan of Zelda, or you collect unique items, or you're just searching for the perfect gift for someone, I could think of someone myself who I could gift this for. Their exclusive products are designed to celebrate your love for the series. So they pride themselves in offering a diverse range of premium items. So you can get stylish apparel or stunning accessories to captivating home decor and collectibles. So what sets them apart is their dedication to bringing you rare and distinctive creations inspired by the iconic world of Zelda. So from exclusive designs featuring your favorite characters and symbols to custom crafted treasures, you won't find this anywhere else. Everything in their store is made to amaze. So these are different things that you can find. If you're interested, you can get exclusive designs inspired by Zelda's legendary world, premium craftsmanship at the best prices, unique creative products that elevate your fandom. So they have weekly bestsellers. They have different rings that you can partake in. They also have Bluetooth controllers or Joy-Con chargers, Nintendo Switch carry cases, Zelda games, of course, and they have Switch card holders, different controllers that are obviously Zelda inspired, or you can go for the more merchandise type stuff. They have wallets, music boxes, phone cases, mouse pads, keycaps, purses, plushies, watches, mugs. I think I know what I'm going to be doing. I think I know what I'm going to be getting. A special person in my life who loves Zelda. They have mugs, alarm clocks, backpacks. They also have different jewelries, necklaces, keychains, earrings. I mentioned the rings already, or even just other fun stuff like puzzles, paintings, rugs, blankets, even bedding. They also have stickers if you want to go that route, or wall art, posters. You can also get things for someone's birthday, birthday themed Zelda, figures, lamps, Lego. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So if you want to partake in that as well as support the podcast, you can go to zelda-merchandise.com/reality2. So that again is zelda-merchandise.com/reality2 to partake in that. There is also a coupon code that will also be reality2 that you can also use at checkout as well to support not only Zelda merchandise, but as well as the podcast. Patreon going strong. If you want to go over there and join in on the fun, we got 3 tiers on Canadian dollars. First tier is $3 a month, where you get these episodes ad free. You also get AMAs once a month, or learn about me episodes once a month. And then on the second tier, which is $5 a month, you get everything from the first tier, as well as coverage of a reality show of yesteryear. That's right now Jersey Shore, currently in season 3. You can also go to the main feed, where there will be the first episode of every season released there, so you can try that before you head over to the Patreon. And then on the third tier, you get everything from the first two tiers, as well as coverage from a true crime documentary. We got the backlog of Ashley Madison documentary, Man with a Thousand Kids, Into the Fire, Lacey Peterson, and again, all those episodes for the first episode of each is in the main feed, so you can try that before you head over. So if you are interested, you can head over to patreon.com/reality times 2, and you can sign up for whichever tier you feel for. Again, you can try before you buy, which basically means you can try any tier for a week before committing to it, even if you are on other tier, if you are on tier 1 or the first tier and you want to go over to the second tier, you could still try that second tier for a week before committing to the upgrade. So again, that is at patreon.com/reality times 2. And of course, the link is in the show notes, website, social media accounts. It's all available there. This episode is ad-free on the Patreon. So if you want to partake in that, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality times 2. Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we are going to be discussing Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So, yeah, nothing to discuss on the top of the episode. Let's just jump right in to the reason that we're here. Okay, so episode 4, we left off with everyone getting the results for Jessi and Maraschino Cherry, um, lie detector test. So we just found out that Jessi's, in terms of sexual physical contact, was inconclusive, which doesn't mean lying, by the way. That doesn't mean lying. It just means inconclusive. But Mary all the way says, he feels better. Well, it's good to know that you feel better, sir. Um, like, did you lie about any details with Mud Puddle? She says, no, I didn't. And that failed. The last one, did you lie about to me? No. And that was also a fail. At this point, she's freaking out because, see, that's where it says the difference between inconclusive and failed. Like, she legit failed those other stuff. Um, but I think it's hard with the Demi thing. Again, lie detectors are not reliable. We know this. But, yeah. At this point, Jordan ends up calling to ask, how's it going? So Jordan knew, let's just preface this. Jordan knew that he was going to be there and they were going to be doing this lie detector test. But what he didn't know was that Jessi invited him to dinner. So when he calls and says, how's it going? She says, you know, things are whatever. And then she slips it out and says, um, you know, he's here, we're here reading the results at dinner. And obviously Jordan gets upset about this. He says, it feels like I'm the only one fighting for this marriage, which isn't correct, but I don't want to take away from the experience for him that maybe he feels like he's alone in this, but it's like clearly no, it's not what's going on. He says, you go do what you want and have a good night. And he just hangs up on her. Taylor sits everyone down after that. We're not doing now out of that scene. She sits everyone down and says, um, I want to know basically how Jessi is feeling. Cause like she's not really talking about how she's feeling, right? Layla asks, we have heard about Jordan, or said, I should say, we have only heard about Jordan, but only little things in terms of how he treats her. And so, um, yeah, so Jessi says, we have been fighting a lot. She's like, I couldn't do anything right. Um, parenting, nothing. I can't do anything right. She's like, well, she is the breadwinner and he didn't contribute. Like, does he not freaking work? I'm sorry. And I think there is some resentment there, but that's on him. 'Cause listen, like, I mean, I don't know what what any of these husbands do, to be totally honest with you. Um, However, we know Dakota works. We heard Taylor talk about it, but I don't know about the others, if they work or what. But it's like, there's no reason why you can't work. Or we know, I think it was Chase, or was it Jacob? It might have been Jace, that he definitely had work with and he lost his job, I believe we found that out in the reunion. So it's like, we know that some of them work, or at least were. So it's like, I question Jordan, like, why aren't you working? Because there's no reason why you can't. I mean, Zach, we know he's been in medical school. So he's still doing something with, I guess, the idea of he will work at some point. So it's just like, why isn't he working? Is my question. Yes, he won't be the quote unquote breadwinner, but at least you're still bringing money in, you know? You can't have resentment towards that and then not actually be proactive. But she said it's been bad. She says, if I stay, I could regret it. If I leave, I could regret it. And that's the problem with that in between place. Taylor feels for her and Miranda as well, as this was them at one point, having to figure out what life would look like post the relationship. And Jessi says, I am 50-50 because I thought this was going to be it. I don't want to go through this again. I don't want to fail, is a thing she says. Now, I mean, I understand where she's coming from as well, as a person who has been married and divorced. And yeah, you are 50-50 initially when you think like, do I stay or do I go? And yes, no one gets married with the intention of that failing. No one gets married with the intention of divorce. Nobody. And I think because she's still 50-50, she's not quite there yet with making a decision. As she has kids, I did not. But I think, let your mind and your body dictate when you have a decision. It's kind of what I did. I I didn't force the decision. I just let it happen and let the universe take me where it needed to go. And once I got there, I was no longer 50-50. I knew that this was what I needed to do, and I did it. I got it done. I had to, for my mental health, my peace of mind. I just think Jessi needs to be kind to herself and know that she doesn't need to come up with a decision today or even tomorrow or even a month, even a year from now. She just let her mind and her body take her where it needs to be. If she's meant to stay with Jordan, then that will happen with work, obviously. If it's not meant to be, then you know what to do. But don't force a decision, just let it happen. So very quickly, we talked to Jen about whether or not she wants to come back. Not much else to say there at this point. Jessie's back home after the whole situation. And y'all, this is when I was out on Jordan. Personally, I think she can do better after all that I just said. But it's not my life. But Jordan's waiting for her and he says, let's go talk on the couch. And he says, you're not communicating with me about him going to dinner, which I can understand. I do agree with him here that she should have communicated that with him. Or better yet, just don't invite him to dinner. But the things he says to her after that, it's horrible. He's talking down to her, saying her kids are going to have no respect for you. It's it's gross the way he is talking to her. It's just horrible. He also says like you disrespected their dad and all this. Here's what's going to happen. This The way you're talking to her on camera right now is what her children are also going to see. And don't you think they're not going to be on your side on the way you're talking to their mom? Don't you think that's also a possibility? My guy, you're saying the quiet part out loud. Like you can't constantly push this on her, her, her. You ain't no angel. Yes, she made the choice, but you laid the groundwork. So, um, and he says, I treat you this way because you have no accountability. Let me repeat. I treat you this way. So it's your fault for the reason I treat you this way. That is seconds away from saying, I hit you because I love you. Now, I'm not saying he's going to physically abuse her. Don't get me twisted. But I'm just trying to point out the abuse. He is abusive. He is verbally, mentally, and emotionally abusive. If you can say things like that to somebody, I'm sorry you're abusive. No if, ands, buts about it. But he says he doesn't want her talking to him again, which I think is fair. Don't get me wrong. There should be no reason Jessi needs to talk to him anymore. However, she says, I don't know if I can say I will never speak to him again. Oh, okay. Okay. I think if so, like, okay, I'm gonna break this down, open up a little bit more about my relationship. Now, obviously, I've been with my boyfriend for 8 years, off and on. We've been pretty consistent now for just about 5. And initially, not initially, but say about, when we started, getting back to, how things needed to be about 4 years ago or so, or 5 years ago, there were people that I was talking to when we were not together, that he was aware of. And he made it clear that he didn't want me talking to people that I would have potentially been with over him. I had no reason to talk to those people. I did not care to talk to those people. My focus was on him and still is. I have no reason to talk to anyone that he feels is going to jeopardize and disrespect him in this relationship. The only person he's okay with me talking to is my ex-husband because he's physically not in this country, so there's nothing that can happen. So he's not concerned. But that was something I had no issue with. Jessi saying that she doesn't know if she can say that could be one or two things. Number one, either she wants to blow up her marriage and she doesn't care, which I can understand, to be honest with you. Number two, maybe she's thinking about press and that kind of thing, which they're still pretty intertwined with being on Vanderpump Villa. Now this crossover to Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and there could be potential that there could be conversation that's going to be had between the two of them. Totally get that. But then that is something that you express to him in a way that he can understand. Then, yeah, sure, I won't talk to him in a private sense anymore because there's nothing to be said or needs to be said. Totally get that. But I also want to understand what that means in terms of press when it comes to the show, when it comes to anything else, which obviously they can't break the fourth wall when it comes to that. They can't, we want to pretend like this isn't a show or something. So, I totally get that. But I do think that Hulu's a little bit more, not like 90 Day I don't like TLC where we have to pretend like this isn't on network television. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. But it's just the choice of I don't know if I can do that. It just makes me feel like she wants to blow up her marriage. And again, don't uh don't blame her. So Layla says her hair isn't falling out where her extensions are put in because she has very different hair texture. She got black girl hair. you know, she thinks that maybe Jessi can't handle her hair texture, which is totally understandable. Listen, as a black girl myself, um, our hair, just in general, needs to be handled with care, right? As anyone's hair does. But our hair really needs to be handled with care. And the biggest thing about that is um, making sure the people who are handling our hair are people who can handle our hair. And I can imagine in good old Utah, there's not a lot of people who can handle black hair. So I get that. I I don't want to sound insensitive here, but I do want to point this out. Um, I used to go to a black hairstylist when I was a kid. Um, but even that black hairstylist, I feel, didn't do a very good job with my hair. Even if I wanted to do, I don't know if they ever did perm with my hair. I think they did perm my hair, and it just never came out well. And it never came out good. Never did. So that's just an example of also that you can't also go to black people. Some black people can't handle your hair either. I just want to point that out. But when we moved on to a different place, a place that um my grandmother also would go to, so we knew of this place. And we started off with this white woman who would try and do my hair. She wanted to have the challenge, quote unquote, and the experience of handling black hair. She didn't do a good job either, though. She really didn't. And she would take so long with my hair. I would be in a chair for like 3 hours for her to do my hair. But there was a lifesaver and a chair. Now he's not black, but he's been doing my hair since I was 13 years old. Um, but he's Egyptian. And Egyptian people tend to have very coarse hair and um they can handle black hair for sure. Um because I ended up finding out that my grade 8 teacher would take her daughter to get her hair done by the same person. And her daughter was also biracial. So it's you have to make sure you're going to a person who can handle your hair. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because again, he's been doing my hair for 20 years. So he's going to be retiring soon, I'm sure. I don't know what I'm going to do when he does because he's the only person, besides one other person, but he did a decent job too, but in the same place. But he's the only person who has touched my hair, who has been doing my hair for 20 years. I don't know what I'm going to do when that time comes. But it is so important that we have people who can handle our hair because it is unfortunate that we don't have a lot of options. We'll talk about that a little bit more, a little bit. So we're at an event and Jen is here. Yay, Jen. So Jessi and Jen, they go aside and they talk because they've obviously had their little issues from the last season. Jessi says, I apologize for Vegas, which I don't think she needs to apologize for Vegas. Zach's the problem here in that situation. I don't think Jessi needs to apologize for that. But she does say this. I was projecting what I was going through on you, which is really sad. Jen says the Chippendales thing was confusing for me, meaning the Chippendales thing at the Halloween party where we saw Hakeem in the corner staring at the fight between Taylor and Chase. Yeah, that one. Um, but she says mainly Demean. Demean is more so her confusion. And Jessie tells her Demi and in Madagascar. So they kissed at the villa. But Jen says, I knew it. I knew that. She says, no matter what happens with you and Jordan, I will have your back. So what do you think Dad Talk is doing right now? Who cares what Dad Talk is doing? We're really trying to make Dad Talk happen, and I'm not about it. I'm really not. Well, Jordan is probably upset about Milan, and Dakota is probably going to validate and suck his dick. Whoa. Okay. Now with Dad Talk, Jordan fills them in on what happened. So yes, he is talking about Marciano. There we go. I got his name. I will say his name periodically throughout. Anyways, Zach says, hey, listen, I'm here for women empowerment. No, he's not, but I'm here for women empowerment. But like, why isn't like why isn't them being wives and moms like the most important thing? Because that's fucking the patriarchy, sir. That's what the whole point of this is. I hate Zach. And I'm like, well, there it is. There he is. His misogyny is showing, y'all. Like, what the hell? They can be moms and they can be wives. And I'm sure, yes, that is important to them. But why can't they also be badass, independent women? Why can't they also be that? At the same time, we can do both. What men can't do is multitask. Women can't. I'm just saying. So apparently Jordan invited all of Mom Talk and Dad Talk to barbecue at the house. So it's Jessie that Jessie pays for. Just want to say that, but that's okay. Jessie's like, it's fine. It's fine. So before we get to that though, we do see Layla getting her hair done by a black hair stylist. I kind of was talking about the experience of being a black girl, and the hairstylist actually moved to Utah from Los Angeles or California. I'm not sure it's actually Los Angeles, but she moved there. I mean, her family was like, why? But they kind of do talk about the fact that like there just isn't a lot of black people, and black hairstyle, not just black hairstyles, but hairstylists who can handle black hair. And they also talk about Layla converting and all that to Mormonism. So the girls are meeting up to discuss pre-barbecue because they want to know what should we do? How should we act? And then Taylor is like, has anyone done anal before? How did we get here? How did we get to the anal? How did we get here? I'm not surprised that we got here necessarily, but how did we get here? I mean, yes, Taylor, I have, but it's just, how did we get here? Layla says, I did try it, but it hurt. Yeah. Yeah. It does hurt really, really bad. You need to like forget it. We don't need to talk about anal. Jen says, you gotta spice it up somehow. Either you swing or you do anal. Okay. Then Jessie says, oh, hey, Layla. Because like, we're going the whole time here that Jessie is not noticing Layla's hair. Because Layla's like, I don't want her to notice. You think she'll notice? And the girls are like, oh no, she's gonna notice. So as they're leaving, they have gone through the whole thing. As they're leaving, Jesse's like, oh, hey, Layla, your hair looks longer. Shit. So Layla's like, so I ended up going to a black hair stylist. I love you though, do not get me wrong. I didn't want to like burden you with telling you it because I know you're going through a lot. She said, my hair wasn't doing well. I didn't want to add to your plate. And then she says, you could have just told me, but I do get it. She says, we do need to have more people who can do black hair. And she says, can I see what was done? I'm so curious. And basically what she ended up doing was braiding her hair, her natural hair. We did see her do. And um putting a net over and then doing the extensions over that. So that is what they did. But I also want to say this to Layla. I know she's on a public forum and that's very different, but I do recall her saying at one point that she needs to have extensions in her hair because, like, her normal hair, her natural hair, just stayed cut in it. Girl, your hair, your natural hair is beautiful. And yeah, maybe thin, but there are people who his hair can't grow, you know? And she does have her hair is, I think it was like neck length, I think, shoulder length. So like she has her hair and it was hard to tell. Like I say thin, but I honestly don't know because we couldn't really I didn't catch it very closely. But her own hair is also beautiful, but you also want to be sure you're protecting the hair that she has. You don't want to have any breakage. So it's good that they were able to kind of figure out a solution to do. So great. I'm happy about it. It's barbecue time, y'all. It's barbecue time. And Jordan says, it's been hard. I love my wife. I know I've had bad reactions, like saying to my wife, I treat you this way because you have no accountability, but I digress. We need to remember she had an affair. Yeah, she did. And Michaela says, but didn't you fuck up too? I'm sorry, what? Did we know he cheated on her? Did to be I needed context. Like, what are we talking about? And he says, yes, Michaela, yes, I did. I just feel like you guys make light of the situation. Who? Who is making light of what situation? And they're like, what? No one has done that here. Nobody. And I think he's like saying, like, oh, you, Macy and Michaela, you went and you talked to him and like whatever, whatever. And it's like, they're getting down to the bottom of shit. No one would know that Demi was potentially involved in all of this if it weren't for Macy and Michaela. I'm just saying. Taylor says, I think you guys need to fix things among yourselves. It is true, and I agree with Taylor on this. You can't include everyone in your drama and your issues because we're all going to have our opinions. And those opinions are going to then stir in our brains, right? And is going to cloud the judgment of which we handle the situation that we're in. I am very careful of what I say to people and how I say it to them. I never want anyone to think that, depending on whatever issues me and my boyfriend are having, I don't want anyone to think ill on him or ill on my relationship and think that we should just break up or something. But you do also want to make sure you can talk to people. You don't want to feel like you're alone. But I do hear what she's saying that it does get to a point if your relationship is as bad and is as toxic as theirs appears to be getting to, or is already there, you maybe need to keep things to yourself. Um, but then he says, I think him going to dinner was so messed up. That wasn't their decision. Your wife did that then. You did that. Sorry. All of a sudden, we start talking about how hard people went on Dakota when he lied. And like, why can't we do the same for Jessi? Here's the difference. Dakota constantly lied. And when it was brought up to him, he lied some more. Jessi didn't do that. Jessi, yes, she lied. But when it happened, she told you. You guys knew before the rest of us knew. So that lends me to think she's been honest with you up front from the very beginning. So what are you talking about? Why do you want people to come for your wife in that way? And why? And honestly, can I say this? Not everyone came for Dakota in a hard way. Only Macy, because Macy hates him. But everyone else really didn't. Not in that way that he's trying to portray. So what are you talking about? Layla is like, let me just grab this popcorn right here because this is now become a dinner and a show. And that's how we end the episode. And that's where I'm going to end my episode. So that is it for me, y'all. I will be back with the next episode very soon. But that is it for me. That is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times 2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times 2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times 2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.